Hello to all my stitching friends today. I'm working today on my Artesi design, actually, not a Heaven and Earth. This one is Artesi and it's called Melody of the Night and it's by Leonid Afremov. Hugely colourful piece, and I've got this lovely little lantern done here, which isn't bad at all. And today I'm just going to work a little bit on this section here. As you can see, I'm parking and I'm coming down in my blocks, so that's kind of working for me at the moment. This one is heavy confetti, so do be careful if you want to choose one that hasn't got so much confetti. I think these particular designs are really heavily confetti area, so if I was you, I wouldn't choose this design if you don't want to be changing colors every 5 seconds. So the easiest way I've found to do this is to actually do my parking, and that for me is kind of working. Some designs I don't park, and others, mostly the Heaven and Earth designs, I use the parking method because it's just easier. And every time I get more and more into my stitching, I start to have, learn new techniques and new skills. So it's not something that's completely static. I could probably, change my style a little bit here and there. It's not set in gold, that I have to do this parking thing and then I'm not going to do anything else. I just find it easier when there's a lot of colours just to have them ready to pick up on the next row. Otherwise it does get a little bit difficult to do. So here we go. I'm going to do a little bit of stitching if I can. I'm feeling a little tired today, but I do want to make some progress. That's the thing. You always want to make some progress, even when you're feeling a bit dodgy. So let's see. I've got my threads and more or less ready to go. Sometimes I start at the front, other times I'll just start at the back and I'll thread my floss through some of the stitches and then come back and sort of cut off the little knot later on when other stitches have gone around it. So it really does depend. That one goes there. The thing I have found with this design is that there's a lot of contrasting colours, so you're not as easily going to get your colours mixed up as I'm doing now with the other pattern that I'm working on. It's causing me a bit of trouble because there are so many whites and off-whites and very light greys and stuff like that. It's getting really difficult to sort of see the difference between them, and especially when they're sort of aligned together in a row and you're trying to count all these different colours. It gets really confusing. Even in pure daylight, I have to say, it's hard to see. I haven't had a lot of problem with counting either without a grid, so that's one blessing I've had at the moment. 1, 2, 3. So I've been paying extra careful attention to where I'm parking my threads, just so that I don't have to spend ages trying to figure out where my threads are being parked. And what I've done, to mess it up, because trying to figure it out is more time consuming actually than spending the extra few seconds checking that you've counted in the right place. Even when you have a grid, you have to kind of check that you've counted in the right place. And the nice thing about doing 25 count, I think, is that you can jump pretty far and it won't make a huge difference. You won't be using up too much thread jumping because we've got a lot more than 10 stitches along here, and I can actually jump, I think, probably around 20 stitches on this 25 count fabric, and it won't be like a huge jump or anything like that. Oops. So just taking your time and not rushing it is really important. So this is a design that I'm not in a hurry to finish in any way whatsoever. This is one I really like the look of, and I enjoyed starting it, but I wasn't thinking I want to get this one finished by Christmas or anything like that. My main focus one at the moment is the Sad Fairy that I'm working on, and I've literally put other ones aside just so that I can focus on that one, because I've got more ahead with that one and I'm really sort of enjoying it. I'm just enjoying that one a little bit more at the moment. And I think you'll find that sometimes you'll be enjoying one and then you'll feel guilty about not getting to the others. But I wouldn't feel guilty about it, because whilst you're enjoying the one you're doing, you're actually getting more progress on it, which means you're more likely to finish it sooner, which means that you'll have time for the other ones. So it's a win-win, really. You're not losing anything. So don't feel guilty about focusing on one and not another. I mean, they all take a good deal of time to finish, right? It's not like any of them are going to be done in a couple of weeks, so I really wouldn't worry about it. There's just no rush whatsoever with these things. If you're an impatient person, then I don't see how a heaven and earth design, unless you do like a little story keep one, which is basically just a cut. It's a cut off the larger one, or a crop. And so it's going to take a lot less time. So basically you could like do like a bookmark size of a heaven and earth design. Yeah, it's not going to be as impressive, but if you really like a design and you're kind of impatient about finishing it, then why go for a super-sized, max, gigantic, humongous pattern? Doesn't really make sense. So think about yourself and, you know, what suits your temperament. So like they say, you know, the little turtle didn't win the race because he was worrying about the hare going ahead of him and rushing on. He was just going at his pace. And by the time he got there, oh, just gonna have to snip this one a little bit. Oh, that's. By the time he got to the end of the race, the hare was more than knackered. Didn't get to the finish line. So there's a lesson in that. Don't rush or worry about rushing. I'm finding my needle a little bit prickly, like I can't feel the holes at the back. Prickly needle. It does jolt around a little bit, this Lowry stand. I sometimes put some heavy books on top of it to try and stop it doing that, but most of the time I don't really notice it anymore. So this is not a large, this is a, I think it's just a normal sized Artesi design. I think their sizes are a little bit different to Heaven and Earth, and this one is going to be about 10 inches, and that's on 25 count. Bear in mind, if you're using like 16 count or 18 count, your finished design size is going to be bigger if you're using a different count to 25. It's going all the way along here. So you've got 1, 2, 3. This is a bluish fabric. It's not white at all. I just can't deal with white. It doesn't do a lot of good for my eyesight, to be honest. Now, which colour's coming next? I have to say, when you're not thinking about development, I think that's when development happens. I think if you're always focusing on, I want to see progress, I want to see progress, it doesn't seem to be there. But I think the more relaxed you are about it, the more progress you actually see. I don't know. I know what I mean by saying that. I don't know if it's being explained all that well. That's 1, 1, 2, 1. Space. I haven't always marked off these stitches that I've done. Not every time. So sometimes I have marked off that they're parked. So sometimes I'm looking at PK and thinking, why does it have a parked stitch there, but there is no thread here? Well, that's just anyone's guess, really. Oh, this one's parked way down. I'm gonna have to do a lot of counting here. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. just double check that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think that's right. We'll find out when we get down there. The way to check if you've parked correctly or not is really just to go and look at your colour. Check your colour. Check your colour and see that you've parked in the right place. That's really the only way to tell. Because usually if you parked it wrong, it's going to be on either side of that hole. Oh my goodness, 4 stitches in a row. I've hit the jackpot. There's quite a lot of variations of these designs now. There's quite a few. I'm going to cut that thread off later. I'm just going to park it up there for the moment. Quite a lot from this particular artist, Leonid Afremov, who I believe recently passed away, and his family were selling a lot of his artworks. Don't know if they're selling originals. I'd presume that the originals would be very expensive. Oh, that one's come out of my needle. But certainly selling prints and everything. They're probably making a roaring trade, I'd imagine, because he is so popular with his designs. I don't know, having done this one or doing this one, if I would actually do another, because of the fact that there are so many colour changes. I'd hate to say yes and I'd hate to say no, because I suppose it all depends. If I was to find a design that I really, really liked, then I might just forget what I've just said and go for it. If I see a design I really liked, I'd probably just go for it. I mean, in some respects, it's also got to be about the end product as well, hasn't it? Something that you're going to have to live with or put up on your wall. Oh, so this one's parked over here. So there should be 1, 2, 3, just there. So managing this confetti quite successfully today. which is a bit of a miracle really. Ooh, this one's parked a few miles away. Shall I go for it down here? Yeah, why not? What's the worst that can happen? I get detention. Just a few more stitches, and that's my end of session today, because I have some other jobs that I need to be doing, so I do want to come back to this either later this evening or tomorrow. But there's other stuff, other crafts. I started knitting a cable blanket, and it's quite difficult. It's quite a difficult one. It's got a lot of different cables. So that's another project that I can't exactly watch television or only put half my focus on. So sometimes, I don't know why, I always choose projects that take up a lot of my... I always say I want something that's going to be relaxing, and then I end up with something like this. And I can't watch TV while I'm doing this one because, like I said, there's just too much confetti. I'll let you know when I get to a part that hasn't got confetti, but I don't think there is any. So if you've done one of these, how did you manage with all those colour changes? That'd be interesting for me to know. Did you just, or if you've got a heavily confetti piece, do you just do one colour at a time, even if it's just like 2 or 3 stitches at a time? Or maybe you do a bit of parking here and a bit of parking there. It's like semi-parking. To park or not to park? That is the question. But never mind. I really do like this one. I'll probably complain about it a lot, but I still really like it. I think you have to kind of be in the mood for certain ones. That's just the way it is. Like, some people don't pick one up for weeks or months or years because they're just not in the mood for it anymore. Just a bit of a shame, really. And I think that's going to be me done for the moment. So thank you again for watching, and let me know what you think about this design, and about if you've done something similar, how did you cope with it? So I will see you again soon. Take care.